Hello, I'm Ragdoll Trainer, and this is my first ever build video. This is a tank built for the Infinite Archives. However, fully buffed, it can actually output over 1.8 million DPS in some situations. On an average ad pull though, it consistently puts out around 600 to 900k DPS, just by tanking the stuff and things. Here's how it works and what I use, with a couple of options you could change to fit you and your group's needs better. Let's start off with the front bar skills. Every taunt needs a taunt. This build uses Frost Clench. This is the primary skill used for applying the weakening glyph, but it also applies Major Maim and the chilled status effect. Next up is Elemental Susceptibility. This skill has no resource cost. It applies chilled, burning, and concussion, and Major Breach. So big focused efforts damage here. Dark Cloak is actually the primary heal, so this build does need to invest in the restorative protection vision to gain some extra ticks of healing, but this is a very, very strong heal when you use it while you're blocking. It also passively grants minor protection. Next up is Extended Ritual. We'll come back and talk more about this in a few moments, but it is a very nice purge ability and a decent bit of extra healing as well. And Mass Hysteria. This is AoE Major Cowardness, which is an essential debuff for archiving, so it's really, really nice to be able to apply it in area of effect. It also fears enemies too. And for our front bar ultimate, Permafrost is incredibly strong. It applies chilled, it slows enemies, and it gives major protection while it's active too. And for the back bar, we have Leashing Soul or Wield Soul, which is a scribed ability that I have set up with the Pull focus script, and either Druid's Resurgence, Class Mastery, or Lingering Torment signature script, whichever you prefer, and then Cowardness affect script for a single target Major Cowardness, which is very nice to have. At the moment, I have it set up with the Warden's signature script. I was really liking the charm effect that it has. Next up, we have Trample. This has the Disease Damage focus script, as well as Assassin's Misery signature script, and either Heroism or Cowardness for the affect script. There are some other good options as well if you prefer. Next we have Arctic Blast, just a really strong and mostly passive damage skill. Blockade of Frost will continuously proc the weapon glyph, giving lots of weapon and spell damage to us. It also applies Minor Breach to chilled enemies, which they all will be. Mirage is next. Kind of a flex skill, depending on the situation, but it does grant Major Evasion, which is really nice in the Infinite Archive, and it gives 5% max health via the Dark Vigor passive. It does also give Minor Resolve, so if you have the Apocryphal Emissary already, then you could change the morph to Phantasmal Escape, and have another way to remove snares and immobilizations. For the ult, I've just double barred Permafrost, easy peasy. Alright, let's go over some key passives real quick. For the most part, just take any and all relevant passives. In Winter's Embrace, we have Glacial Presence. This build uses a weapon and spell damage glyph on the back bar weapon to massively improve the damage the chilled status effect does thanks to this key passive. And Piercing Cold takes that a step further and buffs frost damage by 15%. In the Shadow skill line, we have some nice recovery bonuses here with Refreshing Shadows, and as previously mentioned, Dark Vigor will give 5% more health per shadow skill slotted on your active bar. Shadow Barrier is also fantastic. Major Resolve every time a shadow ability is cast makes this buff something you don't even really have to think about, which is very nice. This build by default uses double Eye Staff and casts a ton of Magicka-based skills, so I don't recommend taking the Tri-Focus passive, but take all these other ones. As far as armor, we are doing a 5 heavy, 1 medium, and 1 light piece, so take all armor passives. You don't need improved sneak though. Make sure to grab your Undaunted passives here. Make sure to grab your racial passives. It can of course be any race that you like. Make sure to grab medicinal use. Make sure potions last longer. And if you're using expensive food, Gourmand can be really nice as well. Okay, now let's back up a wee bit and talk about the Restoring Light skill line. This is actually a flex skill line, but on top of Extended Ritual being a great purge and a decent heal, it also triggers the Sacred Ground passive, and this will give you minor mending and increase your block mitigation as well, so that can be really nice. You also have the Light Weaver passive. This one's pretty cool. Activating an ability with a cast or a channel time while in combat causes you to automatically block all attacks at no cost for 2 seconds, up to once every 15 seconds. So you can essentially cast Trample or Heavy Attack and still have all of the benefits of blocking, which will work very nicely with one of our sets. If you don't like this skill line, or maybe your IA partner is dying a lot, what you can use instead is the Necromancer Living Death skill line. And what you would do is you would replace Extended Ritual with the Spirit Guardian. Take all these passives, they're kinda similar and they're Healy related. This will give healing, and also, while active, 10% of the damage you take is transferred to the spirit instead. So some nice mitigation benefits there as well. You can also take Animated Blast Bones. Go for this one because it's cheaper, so you can get back faster. I'll just put that on the back bar, so that way we can balance out these passives here. And another great option, if you don't want to use Living Death either, the Dragonite Ardent Flame skill line is really great. Just once again, take all of these passives here, get some healing this way still, but also some great burning status effect and damage this way too, so pairs really nicely on the damage side of things as more opposed to the Healy side of things. But we've got 3 really good options for skills here. Burning Embers is great. It's a single target dot, but it also heals, and it applies the burning status effect, so that's pretty good. Soul of the Flame is awesome. It's an AoE interrupt, which is incredibly beneficial in the archives. It also is a really great sustain tool, restoring 15% of your missing magicka and stamina every 2 seconds over 4 seconds. A really nice sustain tool there. And then of course Hearthfire. Either morph of these is great, just depends on which kind of benefit that you'd like to take. And you can slot either one of these in that Extended Ritual slot. If you felt like you wanted to use 2 of them, then you could even drop the Mirage skill and that would be fine. As long as you have enough extended favors, you've got the Apocryphal Emissary for minor resolve, or you just have your armor up a different way, you know. You'd definitely be missing out on major evasion, but, you know, that's a choice that you make. Okay, on to champion points. In the Warfare tree, I've taken Fighting Finesse, Ironclad, Bulwark, and Duelist Rebuff. And then in the Fitness tree, I've taken Expert Evasion, Bracing Anchor, Spirit Mastery, and Celerity. Although Slippery and Fortified can be really nice. Fortified in particular, if you're not a Nord, you need to make armor up another way. This is a really nice, easy way to do that. As far as the stat sheet goes, use the Atronach Mundus until you have enough sustain from your visions, and then you can switch to the Thief Mundus whenever you feel comfortable enough sustain-wise. That'll give you a nice damage boost. As far as your attribute goes, really just use whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable with. I've put all of mine into health. And really the important thing with the stat sheet is just make sure that when you're fully buffed, you've got at least 33k armor. That's really all you're looking for there. Okay, I'll talk about vision choice in a moment to massively boost the build's stats while progressing through the archives. But first, what am I even wearing? I'm using the Frozen Watcher set. When you block, you deal frost damage. It scales off of your max health, and has a 15% chance of inflicting the chilled status effect. This is going to be popping off all the time with focused efforts. Front bar is an infused weakening glyph. This is how we deal with marauders and bosses. Back bar is a infused weapon damage glyph. 2 Frozen Watcher, 2 infused. And we're also using this on the jewelry, which I have as 2 infused Magicka recovery and 1 healthy with reduced block cost glyph here. But if you have great visions already and are feeling comfortable with your sustain, you can indeed add a lot of damage by swapping to weapon and spell damage glyphs, or even the Bloodthirsty trait. You could also run this set on the body if you wanted to, but the next set is Torg's Pact, which is a crafted set. So you can more freely swap armor weights this way. This set decreases weapon enchantment cooldown by 33%, and increases the weapon enchantment potency by 45%, meaning your glyphs are stronger and you can apply them more often. This is fantastic for reapplying that weakening glyph. Kind of gives you that a small buffer in a way. So just in case something happens, you've got an extra couple of seconds to get that weakening glyph up. These are the traits that I'm using, although this sash should probably be Divine's, but is what it is. You could change any number of these pieces to medium and get a little bit more damage that way. You would just cover your armor with Fortified or something else. You'd just be sacrificing a little bit of health mostly. The monster set I used in my latest run was Thurvikin. This creates a growing pool of desecrated bile for 8 seconds, doing disease damage, applying the disease status effect. Also minor meme. But the disease damage from this is really solid. I actually enjoyed this set greatly. But another great option, and really thematic as well, is Nunatek. Deals a bit of frost damage, a small snare, but more importantly, enemies damaged 4 times become immobilized and afflicted with major brittle for 4 seconds, causing the target to take 20% more crit damage. With all extended favors, that 4 ends up being a bit over 16 seconds, so a really great option as well. I also highly encourage prepping a set of Pearlescent Ward, just for some of those really, really difficult bosses where you might be worried one of you might die. This will add a lot of mitigation, and can sometimes be the difference. This set would replace Torg's Pact. Let's move on to vision choice. Of course you can't really guarantee what order you get your visions in, but rerolls are a thing. It just gets costly. Anyways, here's what to look out for. Focused efforts, attuned enchantments, and Extended Favor are key. Prioritize these as much as possible. The Ice, Fire, and Necro avatar pieces are also very strong, but I only ever take 2 out of the 3 werewolf pieces. Next, recovery is super important, so grab Archival Intelligence and Endurance, as well as Adaptive Athlete. Restorative Protection adds ticks of heals to Dark Cloak, so that's fairly important too. But beyond that, just lean into defense as much as possible, and piece together offensive visions whenever nothing better is popping up. Alright, I think that pretty much covers everything. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and share it with your friends. I'm Ragdoll Trainer. Happy archiving, folks. 1.7 million DPS as a tank! What the fuck? Dude, I don't even have brutality running right now.